Chapter 437 Golden Tortoise Molting. Exploiting this opportunity, the judgment sword fell from the sky and slashed straight towards Shu Sanchi. It was extremely terrifying as it unleashed its full strength. The golden swan had been dyed black by the power of darkness. When the judgment sword turned into a beam of golden light that descended from the sky, the power of darkness started to rumble. The clash between darkness and light would never be peaceful. The terrifying strength that was unleashed was sufficient to make anyone afraid. Even Jiang Nanan started to tense up, and subconsciously took a few steps forward. Given their current levels, they couldn't withhold too much of their power, even if they did withhold some. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fully unleash their potential. Jiang Nanan wasn't confident that Shu Sanchi could block the judgment sword. Without being able to use his mysterious underworld displacement, Shu Sanchi could only use his defensive strength to resist the attack. Could he possibly resist it? Gold and black were about to clash. However, it was at this moment that something weird appeared. When the huge golden sword clashed with the black seemed to turn illusory for a moment. Following this, the aura of light on the huge golden sword met the power of darkness and exploded. The tremendous boom reverberated, the judgment sword unleashing great power at the core of the Swanwu domain. Even the sword was affected to some extent, and shook tremendously at the center of the explosion. However, with the protection of the power of light, it wasn't harmed too much. Even so, Ji Juigan's soul power was almost entirely drained after this attack. Just as everyone was worried about Shu Sanchi, they were shocked to see a trace of gold silently appearing at an edge of the Swanwu domain. When it first appeared, it wasn't very evident. However, the golden light soon shone brightly. Wasn't this the golden Swanwu? The Swanwu domain disappeared in the next instant, but the golden Swanwu surfaced at its edge immediately. After that, blinding golden light was suddenly released from the golden Swanwu. The red snake that had always been attached to the golden Swanwu's body turned into a beam of red light and fused with the golden Swanwu. A fierce blood red aura immediately spread out. It was Shu Sanchi's martial soul true body, the turtle god strike. The golden Swanwu was like a huge glowing ball charging straight towards the huge sword that had been greatly drained of soul power by its previous attack. All Ji Juigan could do was turn his sword around and point the tip accurately towards the golden Swanwu. At the same time, he tried his best to summon his soul power. Jing Zian exclaimed. Everyone could tell that Ji Juigan would be unable to block Shu Sanchi's attack. No matter what, gold light flashed past, and the sword was completely fine. The turtle god's strike suddenly fell when it was around 3 meters away from the sword. Where it struck the ground shook, and even the small stream beside Huo Yuao and the others started to ripple a little. Suddenly, jets of water shot out from the stream, and sparks started to fly from the bonfire boiling the water. The pot of fish soup flew up into the air, along with the fish inside. Fortunately, Huo Yuao's reactions were very quick. He waved his right hand and grabbed the boiling metal pot. At the same time, his figure flashed, and he managed to prevent any soup or fish from dropping to the ground. No soup was spilled at all. The other metal pot that was filled with marinated fish also flew up, but there wasn't any water inside. He only needed to catch the fish inside. Nan Qikai seemed to be amused as she looked at Jing Zian beside her. She said, "Indeed, one feels pain over her own man." Jing Zian's face turned red, and she laughed. "Sister Qikai, you should find someone who will make you feel pain, too." Nan Qikai stuck out her tongue and ran to one side to help Huo Yuao control the bonfire. The sword turned back into Ji Juigan when it landed on the ground. He looked a little pale, but stood firmly. He turned around to look at the golden Swanwu behind him. Ever since Ji Juigan had come to the Tang Sect, he had never stopped finding Shu Sanchi to spar with. Shu Sanchi was a defense-type soulmaster, which meant that he was able to last longer in a fight. However, there was still a gap between Shu Sanchi and Ji Juigan's cultivations. Ji Juigan's sword was extremely sharp, and Shu Sanchi would always be on the losing end. He had lost so many times such that he would hide whenever he saw Ji Juigan. Things had finally gone his way today. Shu Sanchi managed to defeat Ji Juigan through the golden tortoise that he had fused with. How did you manage to get away? Ji Juigan furrowed his brow slightly. He was still thinking about their last collision. If it were any other soulmaster, Ji Juigan would immediately be frowned upon if he dared to ask about the other soulmaster's ultimate move. However, everyone from the Tang Sect was like brothers. While Shu Sanchi always hid from Ji Juigan, he still admired his focus greatly. The golden tortoise is a 100,000-year soul beast, and it gave me a trunk bone. Earlier, I used one of the 2 soul skills of its trunk bone, golden tortoise molting. By using that soul skill, I'm able to overcome all problems and teleport myself to any specific spot in my Swanwu domain. It's much more effective than instant teleportation. However, it costs 1/3 of my soul power every time I use it. I am drained a lot by using it. Oh. Ji Juigan acknowledged his words and turned around before walking towards the side of the river. Shu Sanchi was a little depressed as he said, "Hey, can't you just praise me for being strong?" Ji Juigan turned his head to look at him and said, "We'll decide whether you're strong after we fight again." Am I digging my own grave? Shu Sanchi looked at Ji Juigan and was completely speechless. The two of them returned to the side of the river, and Jiang Nanan was the first to run over. She pulled Shu Sanchi's ears. "Why are you showing off? You still smashed the ground. Do you have too much energy and nowhere to use it? See how bad you shook this place. Don't eat later. Starve. I'm afraid you can't fully use all your energy." Shu Sanchi coughed. It wasn't intentional. Huo Yuao chortled. "I agree with 4th senior's opinion. 3rd senior, you should be starved." The bonfire had already been messed up and had to be reassembled. The pot of fish soup that was supposed to be done soon had to be reboiled as well. Shu Sanchi wore a toady smile on his face. "Don't. I have waited so long for my little junior to cook. How can I not taste his cooking? Come, everyone move away. I'll perform some chores." As he spoke, he quickly leapt over and helped Huo Yuao with the bonfire. Tang Clan stood by the side of the river and watched as everyone joked around. She was a little dazed when she saw how happy everyone was. Although she felt that she didn't blend in with them, she discovered that she rather liked such an atmosphere. The bonfire was soon reassembled, and the fish soup was cooking once again. Due to Shu Sanchi's earlier mistake, he offered to watch the fish soup. On the other side, the grilled fish were almost completely marinated. Huo Yuao assembled the branches that Yu had washed earlier and stacked them above the bonfire on the other side before starting to grill the fish. At the same time, he took some dry rations over and started to heat them up. All of them were very young, and thus it was natural that ladies were given the first priority. As the fragrance of the grilled fish diffused in the air, the first to start digging in became a huge topic of debate. Everyone formed a circle as they sat beside the fires. Jiang Nanan laughed. "The grilled fish smell really good. Who's going to start first?" As they were limited by the conditions, they could only grill one fish at a time. Huo Yuao didn't choose to grill more than one fish at once in order to ensure that they were of the utmost quality. If he grilled too many fish at once, there might be some flaws in his control of the fire, as well as the seasoning of the fish. Jing Zian laughed and said, "The youngest can eat first. We should go by age. I'm the oldest." "I'll go last." Jiang Nanan said, "All right. I'm 20 years and 4 months old. What about the rest?" She looked at Tang Clan, Yi, and Nan Qikai. Yi was a little depressed as she said, "I'm already 22. Nan Qikai's eyes brightened. "I'm 20 years and 3 months old." "Haha, Sister Nanan, I'm younger than you." Jiang Nanan pursed her lips and laughed. She looked at Tang Clan and asked, "Wutong, what about you?" Tang Clan was stunned for a moment and said, "All of you can eat first." She wanted to say that she wasn't from the Tang Sect, and she was fine with some dry rations. However, the fragrance of the grilled fish was simply too strong. She couldn't control her appetite and ended up swallowing her words. Jiang Nanan laughed. No, we've agreed that the youngest should eat first. Wutong, how old are you?" Ji Juigan was calm as he sat to one side, not making a sound. Shu Sanchi would occasionally glance over, and his smile seemed to be filled with meaning. Nanan is indeed very supportive. She's helping little junior without being obvious. The rest didn't know how old Wutong was, but how could he not know? Huo Yuao had mentioned before that Tang Wutong was Wangdonga. Tang Wutong replied, I'm 18 years old." Yes, she was 18 years old. In terms of age, she was slightly younger than Huo Yuao. Nan Qikai was depressed as she slapped her forehead. "You're so young. How did you manage to develop so well?" Tang Wutong's face turned red as she glared at Qikai. She thought to herself, these people from the Tang Sect act like hooligans. For some reason, she seemed to have ostracized both Nan Qikai and Yu. They always wore a weird expression when they looked at her. The weird looks that they gave her made her extremely uncomfortable. "I finished grilling the fish. Who's going to eat first?" Who are you out asked. Jiang Nan pursed her lips at Tang Wutong, who was still slightly shy. She even seemed a little young and ignorant as her face turned even redder, accentuated by the bonfire. When Hu Yuao turned his attention to her, he appeared to be in a daze. Tang Wutong stood up and walked up to Hu Yuao before extending her hand. Hu Yuao passed her a grilled fish and a baked bun. Tang Wutong couldn't help but say, fragrant. There was a fresh smell that came from the grilled fish, while the aroma of heated sesame came from the baked bun. Both were extremely tempting. Thank you. Tang Wutong nodded at Hu Yuao before turning around and walking away. She returned to where she was sitting and began to eat as the rest watched. She took a small bite of the baked bun first. The crispy bun made a slight cracking sound as she bit into it. The fragrance from the bun, mixed with the crumbs that fell off as she bit into it, and its elevated temperature, instantly tickled her olfactory senses and taste buds. Tang Wutong opened her small mouth slightly and couldn't help but exclaim, "Oh, it's so fragrant." This was indeed the best baked bun she had ever eaten. The baked bun cooled down slightly in her mouth, and she gobbled it up in 3 bites. It was warm and fragrant, and she felt indescribably pleased. After this, she took a bite of the grilled fish. The crispy skin of the fish was slightly salty, which complemented its natural freshness. As she bit into the skin, juices from the fish filled her mouth, along with the meat. The fresh taste engulfing her taste buds caused Tang Wutong's eyes to brighten immediately. Delicious. This is too delicious. How can it possibly be so delicious? Of course, Tang Wutong didn't know how much effort Hu Yuao had put into this grilled fish and baked bun. Hu Yuao had overheard when Jiang Nanan was ordering them earlier. If Wang Dongga was the first to eat, he would naturally put in much more effort. In order to make the taste of the fish and baked bun as fine as he could, he engaged his spiritual power in its totality state to completely understand the internal structure of both the fish and baked bun. During the process of grilling the fish and baking the bun, he was so precise in his control that it felt as if he were creating a soul tool. Although Tang Wutong stopped praising him, her incessant chewing and swallowing speed still left the rest of the ladies extremely tempted. Hu Yuao started to move faster. He quickly grilled the fish and baked the buns before delivering them to the rest of them. Very soon, everyone formed a circle and delightfully enjoyed their meal. The person who had caused the problems earlier naturally became the last to eat. Along with Hu Yuao, Yi sat to one side of the fire that they had made and was enjoying her third grilled fish. The look on her face was very indifferent, but on closer look, one could see the slight sadness in her eyes. Perhaps it was because of Hu Yuao's attentiveness and yearning, but Yi could sense the love when she ate the grilled fish. However, this love wasn't and would never be directed at her. Nan Qiupai was much more direct. Although she wasn't as acute as Yi, she was still silently whispering to Yi as she was eating. I've never seen him so nice when he was cooking for us before. However, this fellow's culinary skills are pretty good. Even if he couldn't become a soul master, he would still fare well as a chef. Jing Zian was sitting on the other side of Nan Qiupai. After hearing her words, she couldn't help but chuckle and said, "You are actually demanding that the future hope of Shrek Academy and the founder of the Spirit Pagoda become a chef for someone else. I can't believe you just thought of that idea." Hu Yuao walked over after grilling the remaining few fish. After hearing Jing Zian's words, he couldn't help but laugh. It's great to be a chef. When I cook, I actually feel at peace, which is very rare. When I finish what I want to do in the future, I'll find a peaceful and beautiful place and open my own restaurant there. I want to live a simple, farming life with the person I love there. Behind the restaurant, there'll be a plot of land specially for growing crops. I'll also raise some livestock. Why are all of you looking at me like that? Before he even finished speaking, he discovered that the way everyone was looking at him was very weird. A member of the Sea Gods Pavilion actually wanted to find a place to open a restaurant. Just at this moment, Ji Juiken suddenly spoke up. It sounds rather good. Hu Yuao laughed. Brother Ji, shall we do it together? Ji Juiken shook his head. Nope. Shu Sanqi looked very anxious, and said to Hu Yuao, "Little Junior, don't say that in front of Elder Sun. Otherwise, he'll fight all out against you. He's still hoping that you'll become the future master of the Sea Gods Pavilion." Hu Yuao suddenly looked very grim. To him, there were many responsibilities that he couldn't avoid. His fish soup was almost done. Hu Yuao added some seasoning before scooping bowls of fish soup for everyone. He sat down right beside Tang Wutong. Naturally, everyone ceded this seat to him. As Tang Wutong was the first to eat, she ate quite a lot, 4 grilled fish and 2 baked buns. Right now, she had half a baked bun in her hand. Oh, I'm so full. I can't even move anymore. Tang Wutong looked very content as she received a bowl of soup from Hu Yuao. I can help you eat that baked bun. Hu Yuao whispered softly to her. Tang Wutong suddenly looked very cautious and glared at him as she twisted her head. Don't even think of taking advantage of me. Even if I'm completely stuffed, I will finish it. Hu Yuao smiled and replied, don't waste it. Why don't I tell you about a story about a baked bun before you decide whether I should finish it for you? A story about a baked bun? Tang Wutong was doubtful as she looked at him. Once, there was a 5-year-old boy. He was extremely scrawny. He and his mother only had each other, and no one else. His mother relied on her peasant income to bring him up. In order to survive, his mother would wash clothes outside even during winter. Her hands were full of wounds. The mother loved her son a lot. She always mentioned that he was the only one she had in her life. One day, the sky had already turned dark, but the mother was excited as she rushed back home. Because of the tough life she had, she hardly smiled. However, she was extremely happy that day. This was because she was given a baked bun by a chef in the kitchen that she worked in after she finished her shift that day. The bun had just been baked and was piping hot and fragrant. When she thought of how she finally had something fresh for her son to eat, she was especially delighted. To keep the baked bun from getting cold, the mother wrapped her body around the baked bun. When she finally retrieved the bun for her son, her chest was already burning red. At that point, the little boy was very young and ignorant. He only knew how to gobble up the piping hot baked bun. It was extremely fragrant and tasty. Tang Wutong was in a daze as she looked at Hu Yuao and muttered, "Why are you saying all this? I was still enjoying my food, but you had to make me feel uncomfortable." Hu Yuao revealed a slight smile on his face, because that boy was me. Just take it as if I'm obsessed about baked buns. Tang Wutong was astonished and immediately turned to face Hu Yuao. She saw that he was smiling, but there was a sense of bitterness in his smile. The look in his eyes had also turned ethereal. Take it. Tang Wutong passed the baked bun to Hu Yuao. Hu Yuao received the baked bun and smiled at her. He seemed to have regained his focus. Tang Wutong suddenly said seriously, "Why do I feel like you've told me this story before?" "What?" Hu Yuao was the shocked one right now. He was a little stunned as he looked at Tang Wutong. There was a look of disbelief on his face. "You've heard this story before." This was his second time telling the story of a baked bun, and he had told it to Wang Qiuer the first time. Even Wang Dongga had never heard this story before. How was it possible? Wang Qiuer had already sacrificed herself. Furthermore, Tang Wutong's aura and touch were identical to Wang Dongga's. Hu Yuao suddenly felt a little confused as he looked at Tang Wutong in a daze. "Are you going to eat it?" Tang Wutong's face turned slightly red. "Okay, I'll eat it." Hu Yuao quickly reoriented himself and took a bite of the baked bun. Although it was no longer hot, it was still crispy. Hu Yuao felt warm inside even though he was still slightly out of sorts. Tang Wutong turned around and started to drink her soup. She stopped entertaining him and was equally as confused. Everyone had a good rest during dinner. Although the sky was already dark, they were all full of energy when they resumed their journey in the direction of the Mingdo mountain range. Even though they moved on foot, they only took 2 hours to get close to the front lines. Hu Yuao naturally knew where the White Tiger Duke was stationed. When they were about 15 kilometers away from the military base, he slowed his pace in order to avoid any misunderstandings. The 8 of them advanced slowly. Hu Yuao and Shu Sanqi were in front, while Ji Juiken was at the back, guarding the 5 ladies between them. Hu Yuao had already unleashed his spiritual detection and quickly covered the surrounding space with his spiritual power. After a while, Hu Yuao stopped and announced, "They're here, not far away from them." Some figures quickly appeared. Even in the dark, they were very easy to see, because their soul rings were shining extremely brightly. These soul masters were very quick. They quickly arrived in front of the 8 intruders and half encircled them. There were 10 of them. This was the structure of a small team among soul engineer legions. In this small team, there was one officer, who had 5 shining soul rings. The rest only had 3 soul rings. There were different types of small teams in soul engineer legions, too. Apart from the officers, the rest of the members had to have similar cultivation levels. This was done so that they would be more united when carrying out missions. This small team was led by a soul king. The overall fighting strength of this small team was about equal to an army of 500 ordinary soldiers, and that was being only soul masters. If they were equipped with soul tools, their fighting strength would be even greater. Who are you guys? There's an important military zone ahead of you. Show me your IDs. The sulking officer looked to be around 40 years old and sounded very mature and steady. He immediately made his demands upon seeing Huo Yuao and the rest. Even though they were all very young, this sulking didn't lower his guard at all. It was in the middle of the night, and they were not far from the front lines. What was a bunch of young people doing here? This wasn't some kind of tourist destination. Who didn't know that things were slightly tense over at the northwestern end of the empire? Huo Yuao smiled slightly and replied, "Sir, we're from Shrek Academy. We were ordered by our academy to reinforce the Northwestern Field Army." Shrek Academy's reputation was extremely prestigious. After hearing these few words, the middle-aged sulking and the soulmasters under him were all moved. Shrek Academy was a holy ground to soulmasters. It was the dream of many young soulmasters to be educated at Shrek Academy. "You're from Shrek Academy. Do you have any proof?" The sulking's expression softened somewhat. He took a few steps forward, but the rest of the soulmasters had yet to move, continuing to surround the few of them. They were highly trained, and wouldn't be easily swayed by Huo Yuao's words. Huo Yuao nodded and retrieved the letter that Elder Sun had given to him. He said, "This is a letter written by the master of the Sea God's Pavilion, Elder Sun, to the White Tiger Duke. Can you bring us to meet the White Tiger Duke? Oh right, I'm also classmates with the son of the White Tiger Duke, Dalu. He can also verify my identity." Huo Yuao didn't pass the letter over, even though he was holding onto it. A sulking who was in charge of patrolling the area naturally wasn't qualified to read the letter. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "All right, follow me then." After he finished speaking, he turned around quickly. Huo Yuao gestured and led his teammates along with him. The other 9 soulmasters of the small team separated to open a path for them. It was only after they had all passed that these soulmasters turned around and followed them, watching their movements closely. The sulking only waited for Huo Yuao to catch up with him before walking side by side with him. He didn't have any psychological pressure bringing the 8 of them back to the base. There are thousands of soulmasters stationed at the frontline camp, and they're all very strong. How can these 8 possibly affect them? Furthermore, these young chaps have to go through many obstacles before they can meet the White Tiger Duke. From a distance, they could see the Northwestern Field Army. The view was majestic. When they came to the entrance of the camp, soldiers immediately came up to receive them. The leader of the small team verified his identity before the soldier returned to his post. "Wait a minute. I'll go and report this matter. Later, there'll be some people coming to bring all of you in. This letter." Huo Yuao said, "I'm sorry, but I have to personally pass this letter to the White Tiger Duke. Otherwise, you can also ask Senior Dalu to pass it to his father." "All right, please wait then." The sulking didn't continue to pose problems, but instead instructed his own team members to wait before he quickly entered the camp. Although he didn't think that Huo Yuao and the others could do anything, he didn't dare to delay matters concerning Shrek Academy. He needed to report this matter to the top brass immediately. Very quickly, more than 10 people came out from the camp, though Huo Yuao only knew the person leading this group of people. This person wasn't Dalu, but the princess of the Douluo Empire, Shu Juju. "Princess Juju is personally here to receive us. This is a little too much. Even though she's not the main decision maker in the military, she's still a member of the imperial family. Furthermore, she is a real power in the Douluo Empire." When Princess Juju saw Huo Yuao, she was also stunned, and more than a little surprised. At first, the sulking didn't think a bunch of young soulmasters could do anything. However, Princess Juju begged to differ. She had personally witnessed the miracles that Huo Yuao had performed before. In addition, Huo Yuao's reputation had grown significantly following the appearance of the Spirit Pagoda. There weren't many people who knew him personally, but many people knew his name. For those soulmasters who were more resourceful and aware in the Douluo continent, they most certainly knew of his existence. Shu Juju was also followed by soulmasters. 2 of them were elders, and one of the elders was the Big Dipper Douluo. The other elder who was with the Big Dipper Douluo was obviously a titled Douluo as well. Shu Juju had been in a bad mood these past few days. Ever since her mistake led to the death of many high-tier soulmasters, she passed all authority over the soulmasters to the White Tiger Duke. Whether it was her or the current Douluo Empire's emperor, they trusted the White Tiger Duke greatly. They knew that Dai Hao wouldn't do anything against the Empire, even if he was given great authority. However, who didn't want to earn merits? Shu Juju had a deep desire for power, which was why she had always expressed her wish to control a Soul Engineer Legion. However, reality proved that she was inexperienced on a battlefield. The huge losses had made her doubt herself, and she had no choice but to pass all her power over to the White Tiger Duke. She had been very reclusive over the past few days. She hardly gave any suggestions, even though she participated in every meeting. Her presence today was a coincidence. The officer of the small team that Huo Yuao and the others had bumped into was under Shu Juju's command. She was immediately notified of the arrival of people from Shrek Academy, given that it was extremely important information. She was startled when she heard the words Shrek Academy, and immediately delighted. Even though she heard that there were only a few young people, she wasn't affected. Over the past few years, the Douluo Empire had been doing its best to build up a good relationship with Shrek, with the goal of receiving the support of Shrek Academy at critical times. Given that youngsters from Shrek Academy had arrived, didn't it mean that the more experienced and stronger ones were also coming? Furthermore, the younger soulmasters from Shrek Academy were different from young soulmasters in the outside world. There were many talents in Shrek Academy. For example, Janla Sun was only slightly past 30 years of age, but she was already on the edge of becoming a titled Douluo. Moreover, Shu Juju controlled the intelligence department of the Douluo Empire, and was clearly aware of the resources pumped into Soul Tools by Shrek Academy in recent years. With the arrival of reinforcements from Shrek Academy, they would receive massive help, even though it wasn't enough to completely alter the situation. As a result, she didn't dare to delay, even given her status, and went out to welcome them personally. She had seen all the younger generation's talents from Shrek Academy. In addition, she even brought 2 titled Douluo out with her. Even if there were any changes, they would be well equipped to handle them. When these 2 titled Douluo and the other soulmasters from the Douluo Empire, who all had at least 7 rings, saw Shu Juju quickening her pace, they were all stunned. While those people are from Shrek Academy, aren't they all just youngsters? Why is Her Highness? Huo Yuao, it's actually you. Shu Juju's words astonished all the soulmasters from the Douluo Empire. Huo Yuao. Hearing this name shocked them. He didn't just lead Shrek Academy and the Tang Sect to successive victories in the Elite Youth Soulmaster Tournament. His establishment of the Spirit Pagoda also made him an extremely notable figure in the world of Soulmasters. While he had emerged as the champion in the Elite Youth Soulmaster Tournament twice, that was only a big thing among the younger generation of Soulmasters. The existence of spirits affected the entire world of Soulmasters. It might even influence the bigger picture in the future world of Soulmasters. The various Soulmasters quickened their footsteps to keep up with Shu Juju. They wanted to get a glimpse of the person who had established the Spirit Pagoda. Your Highness. Huo Yuao quickly took a few steps forward and greeted Shu Juju. He smiled at her and nodded slightly to acknowledge her. Even though he was from the Douluo Empire, he was a member of the Sea God's Pavilion. Even in the face of a princess, he wouldn't greet her in an extravagant manner. That was just how powerful Shrek Academy was. I didn't expect you to be here. After seeing Huo Yuao, Shu Juju had never felt that he was so amiable before. His eyes were gleaming brightly at this moment. Namki Pai couldn't help but mutter as she stood behind the rest. Is this guy some kind of gem? Why is he able to draw attention everywhere he goes? Yi laughed gently and replied, he's not the one attracting all the attention. It's his abilities. Huo Yuao said to Shu Juju, Your Highness, we are here under instructions from the Sea God's Pavilion. We hope that we can help the Empire resist its enemies. This is the letter that Elder Sun wrote to the White Tiger Duke. There was nothing to hide from Shu Juju. Furthermore, she had personally come to welcome them. She was extremely sincere. Shu Juju received the letter, but didn't open it. She smiled and said, all right, I'll pass this to him later. Please, come in. All of you are distinguished guests of the Douluo Empire. As she spoke, she gestured to them. Huo Yuao didn't stand on ceremony. They had rushed over, and everyone was very tired now. It was better for them to rest early. Shu Juju and Huo Yuao walked forward together without distinction. Obviously, she regarded Huo Yuao as an equal in status to her. The soulmasters of the Douluo Empire naturally followed the rest of those from the Tang Sect and Tang Wukong into the camp. The Big Dipper Douluo and the other titled Douluo looked at each other, seeing each other's astonishment when their gazes met. They were both titled Douluo, and naturally could tell that every person from Shrek Academy was extraordinary. They are all at least soul emperors. Furthermore, a few of them are even soul sages. It seems that they are not even 20 years old. This is incredible. What method does Shrek Academy use to nurture such geniuses? They were most shocked by Huo Yuao. He seemed even younger, but there was no way they could see though him. Given that they were titled Douluo, it was completely unbelievable that they couldn't see though a young soulmaster who wasn't even 20 20 years old. Shu Juju brought Huo Yuao and the others directly into her intent. Even though she wasn't a commander, she still held an important position in the military. Some people immediately brought some fruits and snacks over. After bringing Huo Yuao and the rest into the tent, Shu Juju immediately commanded someone to fetch the white tiger duke. Just this simple action of hers showed how highly she regarded Huo Yuao. Everyone from Shrek was also shocked by how well Shu Juju treated Huo Yuao. She was a princess from the strongest empire in the Douluo continent. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.